Now from WCAX, it's Catamount Corner, home of the Catamounts. An inside look presented by Sticks and Stuff. Welcome to Catamount Corner.
Well, school may be out for summer, but we are hanging out here on Catamount Corner one final time in the 2025-26 season.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get to today. We're catching up on former players, looking ahead to the fall, and handing out some end-of-the-year awards.
Yeah, but first off today, we are looking back on the seasons that are just wrapping up here in the spring, and we start off with lacrosse. Let's start on the men's side. The Cats able to get back to the America East tournament this year after missing out the season before. Their 4-2 mark in league play put Vermont in a three-way tie for second, with younger guys like Zach Toll stepping up to aid vets like Max Frattaroli. The Cats stormed down to an early lead, and they never looked back in their semifinal contest against Bryant. Frat's 4 goals and Ryan Daly's 12 saves on the afternoon, making a big difference in that 13-7 win. But Cats could not maintain their momentum in the final. The Great Danes of Albany utilizing a 7-1 run from the early third into the fourth to earn a 14-11 win and their third straight conference crown. Cats will lose a handful of key seniors to graduation, specifically Tristan Whitaker and Cullen Decker, while 9 more players have entered the portal. That includes Eddie Schwaznick and faceoff specialist Walter Zhao. But head coach Chris Fifes feels like UVM has a strong core to build around going into 2027.
Oh, it's very motivating. I mean, it's really sad to see the senior group grow, not just from the playing standpoint, but the impact they've had on our culture. They're great students, they're great kids. They do a lot of stuff to keep the team united. But with the youth that we have, 2 freshmen and a sophomore on the second line, and a freshman starting at close defense who we recruited as a long stick midi, and Zach Toll being a freshman playing attack, and a lot of guys that we're relying on to be impact players. Experience can't be taught. You got to get on the field and go through it. And so today was a big step forward for us, and one that I know was going to have a really positive impact on our program moving forward.
The women's lacrosse team made their return to the conference championship, their first appearance since 2022, after earning the program's first ever regular season title. Cats rolled past UMBC in the semifinal round, a 10-7 win, where Vermont overcame an early 3-1 deficit to tie it in the second, take the lead, and then never trail again. In the championship game, UVM built a 5-1 lead in the second quarter over UAlbany, but the visiting Great Danes scored 7 of the next 8 goals to pull ahead. Cats were able to tie it one more time before Albany pulled away for good, ending Vermont's historic season 1 win shy of an America East tournament trophy, but giving returning players a taste of the big game.
Yeah, I think this game experience is crucial. We talked about that kind of the past 2 years when we were missing out, and now when you just get that kind of taste of what it's like to play for a championship and be home, and we didn't take that for granted, the opportunity to be in our own beds, and I thought we had a really nice 3 days together here, which sometimes could be a distraction when you're not kind of in your own bubble in a hotel. But again, you learn a lot from this, whether it's just those possessions or a foul, and hopefully that will carry, and it's extremely motivating, especially when you're watching another team celebrate on your own field.
The outdoor track and field team brought back 2 individual titles from the America East Championships earlier this month. Emma Wapsher with the first javelin title of her career on her first throw of day 1. She's currently on pace to throw at NCAA regionals and captured the program's first javelin conference crown since 2014. Rachel Barba, meanwhile, going back-to-back in the 800, winning that event for the second outdoor spring season in a row.
It was such a relief and so exciting. Obviously didn't really know I had that until the last 10 meters of the race, but it was definitely very satisfying to defend my title.
It was incredibly emotional. I had my pretty much my entire family was there, but my team came up right on the runway and hugged me, and that was probably one of the better moments of my whole life. It means a lot. I've put in a ton of effort. I mean, we all have, and I watch how hard this team works all the time, and with kind of the amount of stuff we have to do all year round, and especially with preseason for throwers going from fall to winter, especially like discus and jab that don't get an indoor season. You kind of just sitting and waiting and hoping that those 2 months maybe are those are your 2 months. So I was incredibly grateful.
Well, summer is upon us, but a handful of Catamount soccer players are sticking around here in Burlington anyway.
Yeah, Vermont Green getting its campaigns underway this week on both the men's and women's side of things. They're actually both playing on Tuesday. We caught up with a few of the UVM players on both teams, and they are looking forward to the summer.
I'm just really excited to be here. A lot of talent on the team. You know, we're bringing in, there's guys from all over the country. A few familiar faces and then some new guys, so just excited to train and, you know, get things going.
I was super excited. Honestly, I was not ready to get rid of Burlington and be done with this amazing community, so I'm really happy to be back.
You know, training 5 times a week, even with the players that we have here, the quality, today's session, the standard is very high, so that in itself is just going to push me higher.
The energy is great so far. The coaches are excited, the entire staff is excited, all the players are excited. And yeah, in the touch circle over there, like, we're having a ton of fun.
Yeah, really excited. It's a huge opportunity for our team to kind of learn each other, but also a huge opportunity for you guys to see some new players. We got Halim coming in from England. I met him today, and it's cool to have a chance to just meet him.
They're talking about having a season, like a full league. Last year, I didn't think it was going to be this soon, so it's awesome that they kind of figured that out.
The quality plus the vibes and everyone just being on the same page, it breeds success, and I know that we're going to go and win games and perform well.
The women's game is really growing here, and I'm glad that I get to be up in Vermont for it, because Vermont Green has done such a great job promoting the women's game, and I'm really glad that I get to be a part of it here.
It matters so much, you know. I think that's the difference maker for this team. You know, when the fans show up and support, you know, that's what gets us over the edge. And I know everyone's really excited and ready to get going.
All right, coming up next, I sit down with field hockey head coach Kate Pfeiffer after the Cats' spring season.
And later on, we are handing out some end-of-the-year superlatives. Stay tuned. You are watching Catamount Corner. Well, this past year saw plenty of Catamount teams advancing to their conference championship games.
Yeah, it sure did. 3 America East title games in the fall alone, all of them at home, including, of course, the field hockey team. And as they enter the summer, they hope to make it a 3rd straight conference championship appearance coming up in the fall.
The Cats took part in an indoor tournament in Pennsylvania as part of their spring season, just as they have the last few years. A little taste of competition in the middle of what Pfeiffer says was a successful few months.
It was a great spring. We saw a ton of growth from our first-year class in terms of their weight room sort of success, their strength, and the conditioning level of the team right now is the best it's ever been in my time here, which was really exciting.
Vermont will miss some familiar faces this year, with eligibility exhausted for players like Sophia Lafranc, who is top 5 in program history in career points and goals. This year's team, though, will return plenty of players who saw a lot of playing time last year, starting with senior Alicia Battistelli, who led the team in goals in 2025.
Obviously a big contributor on the field last year, but raising her voice and just moments where she can hold the team accountable to the standard of play and in practice.
She's not the only upperclassman that has stepped up to lead this team into the fall. After losing Merle Vondrager to the transfer portal, Isla Gunner is joined by 2 new goalkeepers and has emerged this offseason in a leadership position.
Isla Gunner is filling a big role for us in terms of uniting the team, and just the relationships she's built across the board are really valuable, and I think she's a really important piece to our leadership group. And then Maddie Weaver, we elected a captain as well, and she's just been kind of a quiet leader, but in terms of what she brings in a consistent, steady way for the team has been significant. So those 3, I think, have united, as well as adding in Addie Delorfis as a rising junior, and she is part of our leadership group and certainly somebody who's going to be huge for us in terms of her on-field sort of presence.
Last year's freshman class shined for UVM, headlined by Conference Rookie of the Year Virla Nyhouse and 2 other Cats named to the Conference All-Rookie team in Gabby Santini and Fiona McMahon.
They, as a group, have really bonded also, which obviously the trust and the just collaboration within that group is going to be key for us this season. They play in some really central roles on the field. I think we'll see Fiona again playing as a central back, potentially part of the midfield. Virla certainly returning as a kind of backbone to the midfield. Gabby Santini had a really impressive spring as well, and after some significant experience in the fall, I just see her role continuing to grow in a huge way.
Prior to 2024, the program was still searching for its first postseason victory. 2 seasons later, they now have 4 of those, a conference tournament championship, another title game appearance, and a regular season crown. And Pfeiffer says the new bar has shown in preseason prep.
Just the fact that the goals have been able to level up that way is really exciting. And just as you say, I mean, those young players don't know anything but sort of being in that space. And we talk about the past, we talk about where we've come as a program and what it took to get here, to help them understand just how important it is that they commit to the process and what we're trying to do. And I think they're really bought in, and it's an exciting place to be right now.
All right, coming up after the break, we will check in with both soccer head coaches as they reflect on their springs and look ahead to the fall. Well, welcome back. We just heard from Kate Pfeiffer, the first fall sport head coach to lead their team to a conference championship game appearance this past year.
Next up, we will hear from women's soccer head coach Christy Huizenga, whose Cats also hosted an America East title bout back in November.
After their second trip to the conference championship in the last 5 seasons, the Cats will replace a strong senior class headlined by the 2 leading scorers from a year ago, Lauren DeGroot and Sydney Remington. And they spent a good chunk of the last few months identifying the next leadership group.
During the spring, it's a little different just with losing the seniors, and so it's, a lot of impact players lost. And so from a leadership perspective, and then also just players that haven't had the experience yet, settling into their roles and finding their feet, I think, are the 2 biggest things. So we felt like we definitely accomplished those 2 things, and it was kind of right down to the wire, like for the end of the spring, but we felt good about where we ended.
Plenty of returning players have plenty of experience. This year's group of captains played in every game last season, and the 4 of them have a combined 93 starts at UVM under their belt.
Emma Warren, we elevated as captain right after the end of the season. She did a great job carrying the team through the spring. We added Bridget Kennedy recently as a captain, a first-team all-conference player. Bridget's been just tremendous for us. And then in addition to them, Aubrey Bow and Maddie Gardner have also been great contributing members to our leadership group. And they all had very strong spring seasons on the field as well.
Gardner in particular joined Vermont prior to last season after 2 years at Regis, where she led the Rangers in goals as a sophomore. She played a big role for the Catamounts, earning a point in 6 of UVM's final 9 games of the season, and entered this offseason on an upward trajectory.
Maddie's had a tremendous amount of growth. I think if you ask her, I think her assessment is a little bit of a slower adjustment than what we saw as coaches. We felt like she had an instant, just immediate impact for us, athletically, leadership-wise. It took her a couple games to adjust to our system. That's kind of a different system, but once it clicked for her, she just took off. So I think that's what you're seeing, statistically down the stretch of the games when it mattered most. But she's been a tremendous addition.
And as far as newcomers go, Huizenga says this year's freshman-heavy incoming class should get involved pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're really excited. We feel like we play a really fun system. We're very aggressive defensively, and then with the ball, I think that anyone that sees our games knows that there's going to be some exciting attack happening, and we feel really good about the players that are coming in that are going to be able to contribute to that and be able to make an impact right away.
Now, of course, the men's soccer program has seen a ton of change over the past few months.
Yeah, out went Rob Dow and a number of key pieces from last year's #1 overall seed and, of course, that 2024 national title team. But new head coach Adrian Dubois is happy with the way the spring went, and he and his group are ready to chase championships again in the fall.
I think the biggest thing was finding an incredible staff. 2 was stabilizing the roster, and then also developing the current guys. We have to be really good at continuing developing players that come up through this program.
There was a long list of to-dos for Dubois and company ahead of year 1 here in Catamount country. They'll look to keep Vermont near the very top of the sport. As for the staff, Dubois added former D2 national champion coach Travis Brent as associate, with longtime assistant Rory Toomey staying on and former Catamount goalkeeper Eddie Vargas returning to Burlington. But he's also going to lean heavily on the veteran leaders that are still on the pitch.
I've leaned on those guys a ton, the likes of Nicholas Hersig and David Ishmael and Nash Barlow and Carl Daly, to name a few. So much loyalty and love and respect for the program, and those guys they have so much insight. They have so much insight on how to win and how we've won in the past.
And Dubois is obviously familiar with how they've won in the past. He was a key piece of Dow's staff and recruited many of the guys who would go on to lift that trophy down in Cary. But this spring was more focused on what will make this new group successful.
It's about creating our new identity and know the traditions and know the way we play, know how we have to compete, but also excited to entertain our fans and our team and our incoming guys in new ways and push things that we haven't pushed before and do things we haven't done before.
To introduce a new style and also just to fill the roles left by 8 key departures, you obviously need to bring in some new talent.
Yeah, well, a couple guys that came in the spring did a really, really good job. I think one, his name is Philip Schmidtke, center forward, All-American NAIA player. Another one is Daniel Palomino, outside back, was a all-region transfer, came in and did an incredible job.
But the starting lineup is far from complete. Dubois and company are on the hunt in the portal and internationally, as well as on the current roster to fill several key roles.
Some key areas we're looking for is a center forward, another central midfielder, a center back, outside back, and then the other one is a goalkeeper that's gonna, spend a year learning under Nicholas and know what it takes to compete at this level.
Vermont played a handful of games against strong New England competition as part of the Northeast Spring Cup, but it's imperative for the guys to continue to get competitive minutes over the course of the summer, be it with Vermont Green or elsewhere around the country.
Freshman, sophomore journey is definitely, can we place them in a really competitive USL2 team across the country where they can build their resume, get another 8 to 10 more games, and be more fit and confident and prepared for the fall.
And Dubois also believes that it will be key for the program moving forward for the Cats to maintain the momentum of the past few years and put out another very competitive team come August.
I think we have to hit the ground running and have a great year. We want to compete at the highest level in the country. We want to win as many championships as possible in the America East as well in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, this fall is going to be an important fall, and we're very confident with the group we have. Obviously, we have to add a couple more good pieces, but our leadership's there, our roster's there, our core's there, talent's there, the staff's there, like everything's in line for us to have a great year. I'm confident the fans are going to love the team that they see come out here in August.
Another interesting thing to mention in regards to men's soccer, D1 will likely be shifting to a 2-semester season after this one final just fall campaign in 2026. The NCAA making that announcement last week, the culmination of a years-long campaign by college coaches in U.S. soccer to get the season aligned with the rest of the world. The 25-game calendar will now be spread out in 2 windows, from August to Thanksgiving, and then from mid-February to mid-May. And Adrian Dubois says there are several benefits associated with that change.
It's great for us because now we're spreading out the games over a longer period of time. We're going to reduce injuries, right? Because we only have 1 game a week, and we're going to reduce missed class time, which is also exciting for our players. But I think overall came about by Power 4 coaches, the combination of NCAA working with U.S. soccer, and then it started to get a lot of momentum and exciting for everybody.
All right, coming up next, we hand out some end of the year awards. More Catamount Corner next.
Welcome back. Before we wrap the year, 2 former Catamounts on the ice chasing trophies still.
Yeah, we'll start with women's hockey alum Natalie Malinkova, and then Montreal Victoire are 1 win away from claiming the PWHL's Walter Cup championship. Malinkova top 10 in the regular season league-wide for points and goals among rookies, scoring in her home debut in just the 2nd game of the regular season. With a chance to win it all on Monday night, Montreal fell to Ottawa 2-1 and will now try again in Wednesday night's Game 4. One of her opponents on Ottawa, by the way, that's Peyton Hemp. She's the older sister of UVM defender Josie Hemp, who also happened to score the equalizing goal in Game 3. Natalie would be the first UVM alum to win a Walter Cup in the league's short 3-year history. And as Jack mentioned, she's not the only former Cat chasing a trophy on the ice. That's Marty St. Louis of the Montreal Canadiens, who seem to have a flair for the dramatic so far this Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, 2nd Game 7 victory already so far in this postseason. So they're going to start their series against Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals on Thursday.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Yeah. Awards time now. Jack and I each will hand out 3 individual awards plus a unanimous, if we can count 2 as unanimous, Game of the Year award.
Yeah, let's dive right in, starting by naming the top new faces in Burlington this past year. On the men's side, it is the man, the myth, the legend. Our newcomer of the year is, of course, Gus Yalden, the redshirt sophomore forward, joining the Catamount men's hoops programs from Seton Hall, and he made a huge impact in year 1. Yalden averaged better than 16 points, nearly 6 rebounds per game to earn all-conference first-team honors and help the Cats reach the America East Final for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons.
On the women's side, this was a really difficult one. Freshmen like Vera Nyhaus, transfers like Jaden Welch shined in all 3 seasons this school year, but we're going with Stella Retrum for women's hockey. The Penn State transfer led the Cats in points and had a huge second half of the season, helping Vermont make it to the Hockey East semifinals, registering a point in 9 of the final 13 games of the season and 8 multi-point games all this year.
All right, up next, we're looking back on each of our favorite stories from the year here on Catamount Country Line. Well, it was just last month, Murray Finard making her return to the women's lacrosse program after missing all of last season, that following treatment for Hodgkin lymphoma. Finard dealt that huge blow just a few weeks into the fall of her freshman year, but she battled her way through it, made the trek from Boston up to Burlington as much as she could during chemo, and she is now cancer-free. Great to see.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going out of Catamount Country for mine, traveling to Louisville for the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament. We brought you on a tour of the Louisville Slugger Baseball Bat Factory and Museum. Super cool to see such a storied place in the game's rich history. We got an up-close look at the process from start to finish, and we even got our own mini bats to bring home. That was definitely a ton of fun.
Security at the airport was questioning that one a little bit. Our game of the year, that takes us to the America East Women's Basketball Semifinals. Top seed UVM hosting number 4 UMBC, and this was a fight to the finish. Cats would jump out to a first-half lead. Jaden Welts had a UVM career-high 23 points, but the Retrievers claw their way back in the second half. Jade Tillman, unreal, 32 on the night, including 2 on the reverse layup right at the end of regulation to send the game to overtime. UMBC actually led by 2 with time winding down in that first OT, but Kira Hansen got a bit of a break when her defender fell down. Hansen's baseline jumper forced a second OT, and Vermont able to seize control in the final 5. They survive when UMBC is unable to get a shot off, down 3 at the horn. The 68-65 double overtime win, sending the Cats to the conference title game, and that one, Michael, I believe, was a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, that one was over a little bit earlier than the second overtime, because the second overtime never happened. We're wrapping things up with our Athletes of the Year, a number to choose from on the men's side, a handful of All-American skiers, major conference award winners all over the place, really, but our men's Athlete of the Year is men's soccer goalkeeper Nicholas Hersig, standing tall between the pipes all season as the Cats swept the America East titles. Hersig was named America East Goalkeeper of the Year, a first-team All-American. He was even a first-round pick in the MLS Super Draft when FC Dallas selected him 16th overall. They'll retain his rights as he plays at least one more year here in Catamount Country.
And our female athlete of the year, plenty of people to choose from, but we went with Haley Brewster from the ski team. A second-place finish at NCAA's. That was good enough for a first-team All-American in the freestyle. 11 podium finishes in 12 races, including 5 outright victories, capping off a fantastic career in green and gold. She finishes her career a 3-time EISA All-East first-team member and a 2-time first-team All-American. All right, that is a wrap here on the final Catamount Corner here in 2025-26. We'll see if Emma Wapshire can qualify for NCAA's, and then we'll keep you posted on that as well. And other than that, if you want to watch some UVM athletes, you're going to have to tune into Vermont Green. There will be a handful of them on both teams this summer. All right, thanks so much for joining us. Keep it right here on WCX for all things UVM all season long. He's Michael Dugan, and I'm Jack Fitzsimmons. Have a good one.